Today I'm here with Alex Hernandez. I actually love that I get to introduce you to Alex. He is a mortgage broker. And what I think is super cool about this is a lot of the people I've been interviewing, or a lot of the people that you see that are doing different funnels or different marketing things, do it with the entire purpose of building a course, and maybe not with the entire purpose, but that's what it leads to, is like a big course or a big something. And who knows, Alex might end up doing that down the road. He'd be incredible at it if he does. And you ought to be following him because he's great at marketing. I mean, this guy's going places. But what I really love about what Alex is doing is he's in this kind of weird niche where there's a lot of different mortgage brokers and a lot of different lenders, and you got to find a way to stand out. So what I love about this is that he's purely doing it to build more business to him, which totally applies to any business that you're trying to grow, that it's just you, doctors, dentists, whatever. So I thought it was really cool to have him come in here. He's got so many different ideas and I think the other thing that I love about him is that he's built these different funnels, but they're simple. They're simple but effective. And I think that's totally cool too, because it's so easy to overthink it. So I'm going to stop talking and let Alex take it away. But this guy's amazing. And you should totally be following him because he is awesome at marketing. He's an open book, which is another thing I like about him, because he'll tell you what's working, what's not working. He's a great guy. So anyways, I know before we started, you were telling me some of these things that you're doing to build up this clientele. Do you mind sharing some of those?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely, Sarah. And before we get started, I want to say thank you for reaching out to me. I'm honored. And the things that I'm doing does kind of apply to a lot of things that you're saying. We see a lot of these internet marketers pushing people to these courses and these digital products. And sometimes when you're someone like me where, my business isn't online, most cases, I'm in a very much so people first kind of business where I'm meeting with people every single day. And it takes a lot of trust, and it takes, a lot of one-on-one action. And there's different nuances compared to online marketing when you're selling digital marketing products and stuff. And so the things that I cover today, I think will definitely, obviously with a little bit of testing, that's what's so amazing about marketing, you got to keep testing, but it will definitely apply to whether you're a plumber, whether you are changing tires, or whatever it may be. If you are a local business, I'm doing a lot of the things that you should be doing as well. So with that kind of out of the way, I'll tell you guys, I've only been a mortgage lender for 1 year. And I'll tell you, I'm a marketer first. I believe no matter what kind of business you're in, you're a marketer first, then whatever you are. So if you're a hairstylist, you shouldn't be like, oh, I'm a hairstylist. You say, wow, I'm a marketer, hairstylist. Or I'm a marketer, mortgage lender, right? And so that's kind of my first piece of advice, is just by that little mental shift, because that changes the game for you, because it opens up your world to people like Steven Larson, to Russell Brunson, to Gary Vee, to all these different guys that we can learn from, and then apply these practices to what we're doing. So, in the short amount of time I've been doing mortgage loans, I've seen some success. I have a lot more to go. So I don't want to say like I've reached the peak yet. But I'm keeping it very, very, very simple. Kind of like what you were saying, Sarah. I'm keeping it very simple. And I'm taking, instead of, if you get a big cake in front of you, right? You don't set out to eat the whole cake at one time. You kind of just take it piece by piece. And that's kind of what I take my marketing in that fashion as well. I focus on one thing at a time. I break it down into steps. And then, then I just execute. One simple thing that I'm doing, I think this can be very practical for a lot of you, regardless of what you're in. And yeah, I think this is what I struggle with when I'm watching something that Steven's doing or something that Russell's doing, and it is for a digital product. I'm like, okay, how does that apply to me? I think the lessons are amazing, right? And sometimes we just got to be able to extract the very important information out of it, the nugget, and say, okay, how can I now apply this to what I'm doing in my business? So using me as an example, I'm a mortgage lender. What I do is I help clients qualify and get loans for a home, whether or not they have money for it or not, right? So typically, without me, you would have to have, you want to buy a $200,000 house, You need to have $200,000 in your bank account to go buy that house. Now, you come to someone like me, I gather all of your information. I try to qualify you so that you can then go buy that house and you can make your monthly payments for X amount of years. So that's kind of the simple version of what I do. And it can sound very boring. The average mortgage lender is 55 years old in the US. 55. So I'm 24. So I'm about half the age of the average mortgage lender. And I'm kind of trying to bring in all these new marketing techniques that we're learning online, using ClickFunnels, using funnels, and using different things like that. So my biggest piece of advice, again, going back to just keeping it very simple, is I'm running Facebook ads. It doesn't matter whatever kind of lead source that you want. If you're good at Google or you're good at YouTube ads, you got to find what's good for you. So in my case, I'm using Facebook ads. It doesn't matter what you use. It doesn't. I know sometimes we fall in love with everyone's doing Facebook ads or everyone's doing Google ads. You got to find what works best for you and your product and your what you're selling. Then I send them to a very simple landing page, kind of like what you're saying, Sarah, very, very simple. And I'm marketing a free guide, which this is kind of an older technique. You've kind of seen this maybe in the early, like 2010 to 2012. You saw a lot of people online, especially in the fitness industry, like, hey, download my ebook, download my e-guide. And so I'm taking that very similar, I guess, process. I'm making a guide. I take a topic and they just download it. And in exchange for downloading it, I get their phone number, name, and their email. Now, what happens is they go to a very simple landing page or a thank you page where they can download that guide, or I then send it to their email. One thing that I really struggled with, because this isn't my first rodeo, I've started some businesses in the past, which we can kind of get into, kind of tell you how I got into this whole digital marketing space and stuff. But my biggest thing is I never believed in email marketing. Okay, that is like I'm embarrassed to say that, but I never believed in it. I was always like, I hate emails. Oh, this is so stupid. Why do people send me emails? This is so dumb. So that was completely a false belief that I had to overcome, because I was never sold on the fact of building an email list. Well, I was wrong. And I'm very much so focused on building an email list now in what I'm doing currently. So the whole goal is I get these clients to opt in, download a free guide, which again took me 2 or 3 hours. I put as much of my best information in as possible. They're only 9 to 10 pages. I made it in Canva. If you guys know Canva, I made it in Canva, exported it as a PDF, uploaded it, and then I deliver it through email and on that landing page. Then what happens is I have a 9-step follow-up process that I do. That's just, well, it's not 100% automated, but the goal is to eventually automate that or bring someone in that's their whole job. So one day when I get enough volume, I'm gonna literally have one person that's on my payroll that's all they're doing is following up with clients. And I think that's a very cool process, which we can kind of get into if you want to kind of talk about that as well, Sarah. But that's it, guys. That's it. I'm keeping it so simple, and I'm duplicating that process. So I have a no down guide, which means you can buy a house with no money out of pocket. I have a home buyer hacks, which I was showing you, Sarah, which is I actually teamed up and collaborating with another agent, and we did 5 hacks each, 5 on the agent side, 5 on the lending side. Same exact process though, guys, same exact thing. And then I have a new construction. So if you guys want to build a home, I show you from beginning to end of the financing process to do that. So that's it. Very simple process, guys. And I'm seeing a lot of success with it.
You mentioned that you have that follow-up system on the back end. Go ahead, share it. We'd love to know.
Okay. All right. Without getting too nerdy and too in the weeds, I am, so I zap everyone over. So once they opt in, I zap everyone over to a Google Sheet. So that's the first step. Once I zap them over, they go on my Google Sheet. And so every day when I go into work, I log in and I can see how many leads I got from the last time I logged in to see it. Then the first step is I call them. And I do not call them because if I'm out to dinner with the family, I'm out in a meeting and I can't actually call, it's very important to get to them as soon as possible. So if you opt in at 9 o'clock, I'm trying to at least send you a call by 9:30. Like, I want to be fast. And I use a system. I'm trying to remember the name of the system. I have it on my computer. It actually bypasses their phone number and goes directly to their voicemail. So what happens is it pops up and says they got a missed call and they got a voicemail. And the voicemail is pre-recorded because, again, I'm trying to automate this stuff. So if they opted in on a new construction guide, I say, hey, again, pre-recorded, but it's like, hey, blah, 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 blah. I don't put their name. I'm like, hey, this is Alex Hernandez. You downloaded my no down guide. I'm looking for blah, 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 blah. So I keep it very short. And I say, this is my cell phone. Please contact me at your earliest convenience. No rush, whatever. Well, then I set a timer for 3 hours. And then I send them a text message. Hey, blah, 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 blah. And this is where I actually put their name in. And I say, hey, I called and left a voicemail. This is my cell phone. Well, I'm just calling this, whatever. And so, again, that is honestly pre-made as well. So I just copy and paste those texts over, change their name. And that small 1 and 2, that is again, within 3.5 to 4 hours of them opting in to my thing. Now, obviously, if they opt in at midnight, I wait till 9 a.m., right? But I do it as soon as I can with being reasonable. But if they opt in at 2 o'clock, I see that, and then I hurry up. But I've gotten more people actually, either if they most people don't even listen to the voicemail, but if they do, they won't call me back. They're like, oh, that's cool, whatever. And then when I text them, they're so much more inclined to text me back. So the moment someone reaches back out to me, they're off of this list. I then take them off because then there's no point of following up with them if they've already texted me back. Then if they if they don't text me back after texting them, then I send them an email. And again, this email is already copy and pasted. That's built around what they opted in for. So there's that continuity through the whole follow-up process. So they know exactly what happened, what they opted in for, what they should expect out of what they opted in. Because the thing too is, I fault them so fast. Most times they haven't even read it yet. So I'm like, hey, when you get to this page, let me know if you have any questions. I talk about this. So I'm kind of trying to then bait them to actually go back and read it. Even if they don't even respond to me, they might see the email and be like, okay, and not respond, but then go actually read it. And that's the whole goal, is getting them to get inundated with so much content that they're like, wow, okay, this is actually really valuable. This is what I'm actually interested in. They don't respond to the email. I then call them again with the voicemail caller. And then with the voicemail caller, this is typically, I might wait a day. I can't remember what the process I have. I might wait a day, and then I'll call them again. But the call up, again, pre-recorded. And it's just saying, hey, I'm just following up with you, blah, 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 blah. Hope you enjoyed the content. If you actually read it yet, if you haven't, whatever. And so it really just goes on from there. And it's about a 5 or 6 day process of me following up with clients. And if they do not ever get a hold of me, which I get a pretty good response rate, most people get back to me. Whether that's, hey, you know what, I'm just not interested, but I like what you did. I like, maybe in next year. Then I don't push any harder. I say, great. Hey, if you have any questions, this is my cell phone. Call me anytime you want. But then I put them on my email list. It goes right back to what I was saying before. I'm building that email list. And I'm inundating them with the content. And then what I'll do is I have a CRM as well that I don't put anyone in my CRM unless I've actually contacted them or if they actually email me back. So if someone said, hey, in a year from now, Alex, we might be ready, I'll then put their information in and I'll follow up with them in 1 year. But in the meantime, they're on the list getting hit with content every 5 days or so. And then also trying to get them to subscribe on Facebook or Instagram or things like that, because I'm posting so much on there as well. So that's pretty much the follow-up process. Now, if they don't follow up with me at all, they don't get back to me, they just ghost me. I don't do anything. I say, great, I'll stop following up with them, but then I'll then push them onto the email list as well. And so I've seen some people that I've never talked to, but they're opening these emails. And I'm like, great, cool. Now I know this person is somewhat interested in whatever this topic is. And then I'll follow up again in the future. So that's kind of what I'm doing. Like I said before, I've only been here for 1 year. So I started, really February 1st was my first day. So less than a year. This is what I've been working on for really the majority of this year, was working on these processes and trying to get these things rolling. So
when I first came across you, Alex, that what really caught my attention was that mortgages can be really hard. There's a lot of competition. And I remember what really caught my eye was that you said, that you're doing this because you want to intercept them before they ever get to the realtor so that you have total control. And I thought that was really cool. So I just wanted to point that out, that, I think you thought outside the box. It's like you said, you're not going to do things the way everybody else is doing, or, wait till they find you. But so I'm super curious. How did you end up where you are?
All right, I'm gonna try to give you guys not the super duper duper long story. I've loved entrepreneurship and business since as long as I can remember. Like I was probably in sixth grade, and I was just like, I remember I was just like, I don't care. I just want to do businesses. I just want to start businesses. I want to take care of my family. And I just always was fascinated with that. You know what I mean? Like most kids were like, I want to be a fireman when I get older. I want to be a police officer. You know those kind of things when you're a kid and you're like, this would be so cool. I just was like, I want to be a business owner. And everyone was like, dude, that's weird. And obviously now in the recent years, entrepreneurship has gotten really cool and stuff. And obviously it hasn't always been that cool. But I've always kind of just started new projects. And I'll tell you this one project that I started in 2015. It was called Bookie Books. And what it was an online library for business, self-development, and entrepreneurship books. And what it was a membership site that you go on, you pay monthly to access this membership, and we send hardcover business books to your door every single month. And you actually pick the books. So we have a big old library, and you say, okay, great, I'm gonna line in. I have a read list at 1 through 5, and you can go, 10x rule, .com secrets, whatever. Like you pick the 5 books that you want in a row. We'll send you the first book to your house in a box that has a return label in it. That all you have to do is you read it. If you don't like it, you put it right back in, you send it back. You kept the book as long as you want. So it could be a day, it could be a year. Now, obviously, you don't want to pay $100 for a book for having it for a whole year. Like, so it made sense. You were incentivized to read books faster and then send them back to get your next book. So that was the business model. It's called Bookie Books. I self-funded it. I spent about $16,000, and I'll tell you how I did that. It was about December. I was laying in bed next to my wife, and I just jumped up out of bed. I was like, oh my gosh, I have an idea. And she was just like, thought I had a nightmare. And I'm like, I'll see you later. Like, you know what I mean? It's like middle of the night. So I go to my office, I have a big whiteboard, and I started just like literally just throwing up all of these ideas that I had. And so what I did was I was like, okay, I got to figure out how I'm going to do this. I don't want to go get funding. I want to figure out how I can make this happen. Now, this is before I learned ClickFunnels. This is before I knew what Russell Brunson was. This is before I knew all this stuff. And so I went and sold cars, actually. So I was a car salesman, and I hated it, guys. I hated it with a passion, fiery passion. We'll never do it again. I was really good at it, but there was a lot of things that kind of went against my morals and my ethics, and I was like, I'm not cool with this. Like, and I've almost lost my job a couple times when I was there because I would tell clients, look, if you don't like this car, don't buy it. Like, I'm not going to sit here and try to convince you to buy this and whatever. So nonetheless, not to get sidetracked, I started working there to get all the cash I could save to start this business. So for that year, it was a year of 2000, and it was like 15 to 16. All of 16, that's all I was doing. And I launched the company in October 20th of 2016. So like it took me about 11 months to get that up and going, get the website built, get all this stuff built. But the problem was what I would do different. I would try to sell it first because I didn't sell it. Like I was like, I can't tell anyone this idea because I don't want anyone to steal it. And I'm going to keep this until I can release it, and I didn't tell anyone about it. And obviously now I would have done it a little bit differently. But anyways, I quit the car dealership because I was like, okay, great. I got the business started. I got a little bit of money so I can get pushed on this project. So then I went to go work at a bank. And the bank was super easy, 9 to 5. While I was in my office, I was working on the business stuff. You know what I mean? Like just kind of making it work is what I was doing. Well, eventually I ran out of money. People weren't returning books. And it was just getting expensive. And I was running out of money. And I was like, wow, like, my wife's going to school. I was still in college at the time. And I had a lot of things I was carrying. And I actually spoke with Andy Frisella. He runs MFCEO Project. It's a big podcast, #1 business podcast, actually. So I talked to him on the phone. I can't remember how I got connected with him, but he was like, what's going on, Alex? How can I help you? And I was like, dude, listen, I'm seeing some progress with this business, but I'm seeing a lot of people not wanting to read the book. They want the digital copy. They want, you know what I mean? And I wasn't there yet. I was like, in the future, I want to do this and I want to be able to offer these features and stuff, but I couldn't. All I can do is give you the physical book. And for my own testing before I actually launched the business, I was like, okay, there's a small market of people that actually like to open up a book and read it. not on your phone, not on your Kindle. You know what I mean? And he just pretty much was like, dude, listen, man, I would never tell you to quit. I would never tell you that. But he goes, I know I like to keep my own books and stuff, and I like to whatever. And so, anyways, after a long conversation and about a month or two of really thinking about it, I ended up dissolving the business because in the meantime, when I was at the bank, I was doing home equity loans and I was working with a lot of lenders in town, and they were making a ton of money, Sarah. I mean, like tons of money. And I'm like, it can't be that hard. Like, I'm just like, it can't be that hard. Like, because none of them were doing the business stuff, or a lot of them don't have the experience in the business world. So I was like, I can totally come in. I see kind of this purple ocean, kind of like what Steven talks about. And I was like, I can go in there and I can make this happen. And so that's why I ended up dissolving that business, because I was like, I think I can go make more money in the next couple of years of my life doing mortgage loans, build a real business out of it, and then take that cash and then go start another project or whatever I want to end up doing at that point. So that's how I ended up in this world where I'm at now. A lot of trial and error, a lot of money spent, a lot of heartache, but nonetheless, a lot of fun. It's been so much fun. And like I said, I'm 24 years old, and I feel like I've lived 2 lifetimes already. I feel like that's what business does to you. So yeah, that's how where I'm at now. So
I think that's crazy cool.
yeah, it's crazy. For sure, it's crazy.
No, it's crazy cool. So you kind of told us what you do differently. What would you do differently if you did it again and you were starting out as a business because you had this great idea? What would you do differently?
I would do it. I would sell it the same way Russell Brunson sells ClickFunnels. Do the same way. What I've learned, continuity products where you're paying monthly. Retention is always the hard thing because it's hard for someone to say, okay, I'm going to pay $10 every month over and over and over and over again, and it's just tough. And we've heard Russell Brunson say that too. And so what Russell does is he sells digital products as a front end, and then on the back end, he offers his continuity program, and that's how he gets people in. Now, I was just trying to sell the continuity up front. Now, I would have probably done something different. I probably would have pre-sold it. I would have done a lot of affiliate marketing. I would have went to people that have courses right now and said, hey, you have a Facebook ads course. Well, a lot of people that like Facebook ads like business books. I would do some sort of affiliate program. Let's put this on the back end of your product and get people signed up is what I probably would. And I thought of that towards the end, and I'm like, okay, I got to execute this. And, anyway, it just didn't end up working for me. But that's what I've done. That's exactly what I would have done differently is I would have pre-sold, and I would probably sold products up front and then made that on the back end and try to get them into the continuity. So
are you going to launch it again?
I don't know. I had thousands of books, thousands. The website's not up anymore, but I wonder if you can go up on one of those websites where you can see old sites. You might be able to go see it. I had a ton of books, and eventually I wanted to kind of branch off and do kids books and do you know what I mean? Kind of because there's no one in that space. Like that's literally the definition of a blue ocean, but there wasn't enough red in it. Like there just wasn't. I thought it was such a good idea because I was like, there's no competitors. My closest competitor obviously would be Amazon, but they're not even doing what I'm saying I'm doing. Chegg just does student books. You know what I mean? Like, so there was nothing like this, which I think was good, but which I think can sometimes be bad. And in this case, it wasn't truly tested yet, So I don't know. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. No promises.
I just think it's cool. You had this idea, you took it, you ran with it, but you weren't totally and completely married to it. Because I think that can be a downfall too, is that you've got to, and I think this is hard, and maybe you can tell us, but it's sometimes hard to know when do you need to tweak it and when do you just need to get out of Dodge. I don't know. Do you have any insights?
Yeah, I do. And I'll tell you kind of what I learned from Andy Frisella. And if you guys don't know who Andy, I'm sure a lot of you watching this probably knows who he is. Sarah, you got to check him out. But I was like, I'm nervous. Because I was like, I don't want to waste a bunch of time on this project. Like I had the same exact question, kind of what you're asking. How do I know when this is actually a viable business? Like, how do I know? What if I'm just wasting all this time dragging this through the dirt. And then 5 years from now, I'm just 50 grand in the hole. And you know what I mean? And vice versa. It was too soon to really know if it was going to be successful yet. It was only launched for 1 year. And I was like, it's too soon to really know. So I was like, I don't have this false fantasy of, oh, I'm going to be a millionaire in 1 year. I didn't believe in that. So that's not why I was doing it. But I also was like, I was kind of in the middle. I was torn. But Andy, and I was like, but Andy, I'm nervous. I'm like, I spent so much money and time. Like, I was staying up till 2 a.m, working on this, working on that, put all the money I would make, literally every penny that I had into this business. And I was like, I'm nervous. I've wasted all this time and money. And he goes, listen, man, it's not a waste. I said, you've learned, yeah, you've spent more money and you spent all this time, but you've learned more in this one thing than anyone's going to learn at your school, at college. Like, more than you're going to learn in your full 4 years degree at Dixie or whatever, And I was like, wow, you're right. So that small mind shift change, I was like, okay, cool. So I started looking at it as like, wow, I did learn a lot of stuff. And it was, and yeah, if you look at the bottom line, you're like, wow, like that kind of hurts. But what I've learned is so valuable, it's priceless. And also I showed myself that I can come up with something and I can stick to it. I can be disciplined, I can execute it, and I can make it happen all the way until that point. And that was such a huge win for me. I was like, wow, dude, I'm proud of myself for that, and that was amazing, even though it didn't really work out. And not a lot of people really saw what I was able to create, but it was amazing. There's people that did. I mean, I was sending books to Philadelphia, to Florida, to New York, to all these places. And it was just cool. It was very rewarding. So, but I don't think there's an answer for it. I don't think anyone knows. I very well could be like, I could have stuck with it and it'd be really successful by now. I could have. I don't, you know what I mean? I don't know. Or vice versa. So I try not to dwell. I try not to like think of the what ifs and just say, I'm just taking it for what it is and taking it for the reality of the situation and where I'm at right now. And I'm happy. I'm so happy, Sarah. You kind of said it before, mortgage loans is very hard. A lot harder than I thought it was going to be. It's a business, especially again, 55 years old is kind of the average. A lot of these people have relationships for 10, 20 years. It's very hard to get in between some of these relationships and try to get some of those lead sources from agents or from other people, but it's still so rewarding. It's kind of taking me back to like, how can I figure this out to make this work? So yeah, that's my answer.
I think it's really easy to look at something that maybe you want to do and go, well, everybody else is, older, or they've got all this experience, or they know how to do it, or they've got these clients. And I don't think that's necessarily true. And I'm going to bet, I'm not even going to bet, I'm forecasting that next year when I talk, or when we follow up next time, because I hope you'll let me follow up.
Yeah, for sure.
You're going to be killing it because nobody else is doing this. And this goes back to everything you've been saying, is that they get stuck, or you get stuck in this one idea of, oh, we're just going to do it this way. It's always been done this way, or this is how I've been doing it this way. And I love that you're breaking out of that mold. And I love the things that you're doing with it. And I'm willing to bet that next time I talk to you, that you've even taken it a step farther. And I think it's cool to see how you've taken an old school idea and meshed it with a new school idea to create this like purple ocean.
Yeah.
and how it's working out. And I know we talked about this before we actually even started the podcast, but you were saying, a lot of this stuff, which I think is true in a lot of industries like this, realtors, doctors, whatever, that you do all this front end work, and sometimes it's really easy to think that it's not going where you want it to, but that's because it's going to play out later on down the line if you're just doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Exactly. And I think what I'm doing too now is you said it perfectly. I'm trying to mix in the new school marketing techniques, but not completely abandoning the old techniques, where I'll tell you the truth. My whole goal is to get to the client first, because if I'm being the mortgage lender, we're kind of, other than title companies, most people don't even know what title companies are, but other than title companies, we're kind of forgotten. People don't realize they need us. And in most cases, they need us more than they even need a realtor. But realtors have done so good in the last 100 years of marketing themselves as being the go-to person when you want a home. And you know what I mean? And they're like, oh, we can answer all your questions. And what happens is we're told that you need to go find a realtor first. Then the realtor will then send you to whoever they want you to send you to. Now, again, going back to, it's hard to get between those relationships. So I was like, well, if I can't get in this relationship, maybe I can go after the clients first, get the clients to come to me. I'll pre-qualify them. I'll educate them. And then I will send them to who I want to send them to. And when you're an agent, no matter if you've been with one lender for 30 years, but you're an agent and you're like, wow, this lender's sending me some business and he's doing it consistently, then that is the best way you can kind of get in between. So that's the new school. But this is kind of, and I'll tell you, and this goes again back for a lot of companies that are kind of, I call it in the trenches, where you're in the trenches, you're fighting every day, you're out and about, meeting with people, you know what I mean, calling potential clients, calling referral partners. I'm trying to do a better job at that end too. Because when I first started, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to call any agents. I'm not going to reach out to anyone. And you know what? I'll tell you the truth. It's been very good. A lot of people know my name now where I live. Keeping in mind, I didn't know anyone when I started. No one. And a lot of people see my videos on YouTube or Facebook, on Instagram. They're like, wow, yeah, I know who you are. I've seen your face. I've heard of you. Agents, I've heard of you. I've heard of you. So that's been great. So I'm not like, that's the bulk of it. Keep doing that stuff. Keep innovating. But there's things from the past that you got to look at and then take from that as well. So like what I did this Christmas, I baked these little goodies. I baked some, and I baked a little bit, not a lot. I was telling them, I said, if these are not good, if they're not good, if you don't like them, it's my wife made them, not me. If you like it, I'll take the credit, you know? But taking some of that stuff where I'm starting to, you know, make it a daily discipline, a daily habit to call agents, to introduce myself, to call and follow up, to just try to stay top of mind. Yeah, I'm producing a lot of content on Instagram and Facebook and blah, 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 blah. But I'm trying to get in the trenches as well and learn from what past generations have done to become successful as well. So I'm really, really, truly trying to make an effort to really mix the two together. And by visiting their offices, because and I'll tell you the truth, Sarah, I was like, I don't want to be that brown noser that's just showing up with gifts and goodies just so you send me your business. I want you to send me your business because I'm good. I communicate well. You know what I mean? I'm like, I'm over here like high and proud and like, yeah, you need to send it to me because I'm good and I do. But a lot of them don't care. They just don't care. They want to be buddy. They want to be friends. They want, you know, most of them do. So I'm learning how to do that as well. So that's kind of where, you know, there's a silver lining of doing both. So
I don't know where you're going to go with this. I think you could totally turn this into like the coolest course.
Maybe in the future, yeah, I might be a coach and stuff. I might do all that stuff. But right now, I'm just me. And if you have questions and you're in the same field or you're an agent or you're insurance and you want to kind of bounce ideas, I'm game and I'm here for that, you know? And that's kind of where I want to be. I want to be more of that right now. And then in the future, then say, hey, you know what? I'm going to start coaching and stuff. I came with a cool course. I'll worry about that then. But right now, I like this, what we're doing, where I'm like, I get a lot of satisfaction of being like, yeah, this is what I'm doing. What are you guys doing? Oh, cool. I didn't think about that. Great. I mean, I call it standing on the shoulders of giants. That's one of my mantras in life, is to try not to reinvent the wheel, but to look at people like Russell, to look at your peers and be like, okay, what can I take from there? Like, I'm funnel hacking people's lives. You know what I mean? Like, let me funnel hack your life, my man. Like, that's kind of what I want. So
I think you're awesome. So you guys should go to, I recommend any industry, but especially if you're in like a hands-on service, like, you know, straight to the client kind of provider, go check out Alex Hernandez on Facebook. He's doing some really, really awesome, amazing things. And it's, you know, it's so cool that he's willing to share this, because he isn't hiding what he's doing. I mean, he flat out, you guys, if you are a realtor, if you're, you know, in a business, you know, if you're, you know, the doctor, the mortgage broker, the whatever, go in and seriously deep dive what he just walked through here, because it will work for any of those kind of industries. And that's so crazy cool that he's willing to share that. I think that's awesome. So again, go check out Alex Hernandez before he gets so big that you can't talk to him anymore. Um, but I super appreciate that you were on here today, Alex. I know I caught him in between family time, and so that's really cool too that he'd take time out to be part of this. Any last? I You haven't even given us a golden nugget. You've like laid out the whole enchilada, but any last word of advice for people that are just getting started or maybe stuck?
Yeah. There's a lot to take from it, guys. And there's a lot of information. There's a lot of gurus. There's a lot of new things coming out. But try not, and it's very hard, and I get it. Try not to chase a shiny object all the time. Focus on one thing. Take it day by day. Complete it. Execute it. Learn from it, and move on to the next thing. Because it happens to me too. I get so bombarded with ideas, and I write them down, and I'm trying to go 7 different directions, even within my own business. You know what I mean? And I know some people have multiple businesses and they do different things, but this is even within my own business. I get frustrated because I'm like, well, I want to do this. I want to do that. Okay, I want to do this. Where do I start first? Just pick one and just start. Just start one little thing, and learn from it. The amazing thing about marketing is no one truly knows. You look at Russell Brunson, you look at Steven, the bulk of their knowledge is from years of experience. It's not like they just read a book. It's not like they just read a course. Now, those things are amazing to supplement your learning. They're amazing. And I definitely recommend listening to podcasts. I recommend all that stuff. But nothing beats out just executing and learning hands-on, because that's when you get kind of the real world like answers. You're like, oh, wow, this didn't work. Like, oh, wow, this didn't work. And that's the best way. That's my only piece of advice. I think if you do that, eventually, it's not if, it's more about when you're going to see that success. Because the beautiful thing about marketing is you just got to test, and eventually it'll work. So that's it.
That was super amazing. Again, it's Alex Hernandez. Make sure you're watching this guy. And again, maybe funnel hacking him. Although you didn't have to funnel hack him, he just gave it to you.
I'll just tell you.
But thanks so much, and I look forward to talking to you again soon.
Absolutely. I'm grateful. Thank you.